It was an average morning at our home. We were getting ready for the day as normal. However, at one point, my siblings said they heard a commotion. That's when we saw a person running in our backyard. Then all at once, we saw a group of police cars pull up near our house. We could see that a group of policemen caught up to the guy and tackled him. My mom later found out that the guy was an escaped convict who was in jail due to a murder charge. We were very thankful that God kept us safe and that the man had not tried to enter our home.
This happened in the later part of 2019. I was working at a popular retail store in the shoe department. I was 28, but people usually thought I was around 17. This was mostly due to the fact that I was short. The reason I am telling you that is that this is important to the story. Anyway, I arrived for my shift one day and got to work right away. About an hour into putting out new shoes and returning shoes back into the boxes left by customers, I passed a guy in the men's shoe section who was trying to find a pair of nice suede shoes. He was tall, about in his mid-40s, and had a trimmed beard. When he saw me, he ended his phone call and asked me for help in locating a particular shoe. I put the cart that I had to the side and went to use the handheld device. I had to see if there were any in stock. Unfortunately, we did not. So, he asked if I could help him in finding a similar pair of shoes. I agreed, as always trying to offer excellent customer service with a smile. As we combed through the possible boxes and styles, he began asking everyday questions. For example, "How's your day been? Has it been busy?" After about 30 minutes, another customer was asking for shoe assistance on the phone, so I had to leave to answer the phone. However, the guy had found a pair of shoes he liked and said he would leave me a good comment. He also gave me a computer repair card with his email, saying if I needed any computer repair services, even though he didn't say anything about computers until then. I thanked him and quickly left to answer the phone. I thought it was a little strange and left the card on the back room desk if anyone needed it. Another week or two went by, and on another shift I had, I saw the same guy. He had returned the shoes and was looking for a different shoe altogether. I helped him as much as I could, but that day was busy, which made me a little thankful that I wouldn't really have to interact too much with him, as something seemed a little off. It ultimately took an hour. A few days later, I see this guy again. I saw him before he could see me and tried to stay away, as I wouldn't have to spend another 30 minutes to an hour helping this guy pick out shoes. But not before I overheard him talking to his girlfriend or wife on the phone. So, I am on the opposite side of the shoe floor, and when I turn around to the shoe cart, there he is. I say hello, and he greets me with a, "There you are. I need help with finding some shoes. Would you help me?" I reluctantly smile and agree. As we look for possible shoes, he began asking me personal questions such as, "Do you and your boyfriend enjoy going around and doing stuff?" Or, "What do you do for fun?" By the time we find a good pair of shoes, about 45 minutes later, he thanks me, and I get ready to put out more shoes. However, he asks me a question like, if I wanted to go back to his apartment sometime and have some drinks. It was something along those lines. All I could do was smile and quickly walk away. I didn't even answer his question. I then rushed to the back room of the shoe department and prayed that he wouldn't be there when I left. About 10 minutes later, I walked out and he wasn't there. Ever since then, I haven't seen him again.
When I was about 18 years old, my mom would drop me off early at a local grocery store so I could get to the library when it opened. I normally did some work there for a while. My mom had to work earlier, so that is why I got dropped off at the grocery store. I would usually stay there for about 30 minutes until I decided to make the walk over to the library. The walk wasn't super long. It usually took about 10 to 15 minutes to get there. It was always easy to get there, and nothing ever happened. I enjoyed doing this, as it gave me a little bit of self-confidence. When I got there, they normally had the front entrance opened, so that way people could come and sit or use the restroom while waiting for the library to open. So I went to the normal spot where I would wait. Normally there were other people waiting around too. During this time, there was this older guy who was waiting there. He was on his phone, talking to someone about medicine. After a bit, he finished and decided to come over to talk to me. Normally, I wouldn't really care, but something about him gave me an off-putting feeling. He started talking about YouTube and how he had a friend who was on there who did music or something like that. I think he was asking along the lines of if I was religious or something, and I was like, yes, I am a Christian. He then said, oh really? Well then I think you would like what my friend does. He does religious stuff on YouTube. Does your phone use internet? I could show you. I was more on guard now after he said that and shook my head. I said something along the lines of, sorry, my phone doesn't do that. It clearly did, as I was just watching something on it before he came over to me. He nodded and said, oh okay. Yeah, mine doesn't do that since it's a flip phone, or something along those lines. After that, he said a few more things, and that was the end of that. I didn't think any more of it, considering I went in the library the next few days and did not see him anymore, at least for a while. Then one trip, I went to the library, and they did not have the front waiting area open. This happened a few times, so all I had to do was just sit on one of the outside benches. I didn't think much about it because there were also people doing work in the parking lot. So for a while it was just me, until I heard a phrase that sticks with me ever since this happened. Oh hey, it's Christian girl, he said. The older guy was walking up to the entrance and started talking to me. Panic filled my mind. As I said before, something about him did not make me feel comfortable. He started talking, asking how I was doing. Nothing too weird at first. But then he offered me some snacks out of his sandwich bag. That was a red flag in my head already. I declined, and then he offered me his water, which I declined again. He then later started to ask me really weird questions. He asked me things like, "You're very pretty. Do you have a boyfriend?" Which I did at the time, and I am now married to said boyfriend. Let me remind you again that this guy was older than I. He had white hair and looked to be in his 50s. It also seemed like he wasn't all there, which made me feel even more scared. So I said I had a boyfriend, and he then asked me, "Do you like him?" Of course, I said yes. He then asked, "Do you love him?" That weirded me out, but I said yes, and that we were engaged. Then he said something along the lines, "That's really nice." He then paused and said for no reason, "I have an apartment close by." I froze. My fight or flight kicked in. However, I was too scared to react, so I just nodded and didn't say anything else. He then sat beside me and kept talking. He then asked me, "Well, you are still really pretty, and is it okay if we can be at least friends?" I just wanted him gone, so I said sure, and then he shook my hand. I thought it was going to be quick, but he held my hand for a long time, so I pulled it away. After a bit, he said, "Am I making you feel uncomfortable?" To which I replied, "Yes, you are." He then chuckled and got up. He then said, "All right, I will leave you alone. See you later, Christian girl." He then walked over to the construction people and started talking to them. I was so glad he left. I was scared the rest of the time I was at the library. I tried to make sure wherever I went, I would avoid him. After that incident, Every time I went to the library, I was scared to run into him. I even saw him once when I was walking to the library. I ended up walking a different way as I was scared he would talk to me. However, for the longest time, I never saw him at the library or anywhere near where I had to walk. One Sunday after church, my mom and sister and I went to the library to get some books and movies. After returning books, my sister left to look for some more. When my mom and I walked further into the entrance of the library, that's when I heard the phrase, "Hey there, Christian girl, it's been a while, coming to get books?" I laughed and nodded, and he left. For some reason, panic hit me, and I don't know why I thought this, but I was worried he got my sister. I started praying and looking around for her, but I couldn't find her. This library had 3 floors, so there were a lot of places to look. I was panicking and rushing around through the whole library, still praying that I would find my sister. And that is when I found her in a center computer booth. I took a deep breath. She looked at me confused. I eventually told her everything later. Since that day, I haven't seen him anymore. I no longer live around that area, but I'm thankful I have not seen him again to this day.